嘿，大家好，欢迎来到区块先生的 Crypto 节目。我们今天在香港区块链周呢，又遇到了一个很酷的项目，叫做 ZetaChain。那我们今天请到了他们团队 Charlie 他是专注于在开发还有治安这一部分。Charlie, could you give a quick intro about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Charlie McCowan. I work with ZetaChain. I'm leading the cybersecurity and DevOps automation efforts there. My background is in security automation, infrastructure automation, that kind of stuff, making sure everything's up and running when we need it.
Awesome. Especially right now, seems like security is one of the most important questions with all the exploits that's happening, either in DeFi or in bridges. So I guess, could you give a quick intro about ZetaChain and then how is it different from, let's say, Layer 0 and Omnichain, for example?
Yeah, so ZetaChain is focused on Omnichain connectivity, and what that really means for the user or for the developer is it streamlines the idea of being multi-chain. And you mentioned a lot of these hacks and things that happen in bridges. It's very complicated, and solutions like Layer 0 require developers to kind of learn another tool, learn another skill. What we've done is actually create a EVM-compatible Layer 1 that you can deploy your contracts to in Solidity, just like developers are familiar with. And then you can use us to natively interact with assets on multiple chains. So instead of deploying on 4 different chains and passing messages across, you deploy in one place and you can interact with native Ethereum, native Bitcoin, or any other tokens that are connected to us.
Oh, wow. So does that mean that, let's say if I have Bitcoin on Bitcoin chain, right, which is not compatible with EVM, and then I want to swap my Bitcoin to USDC, that's on Ethereum, how would that look like via ZetaChain?
Yep. So we essentially have a Bitcoin address that is, it's controlled by a distributed set of validators, and you can send a Bitcoin transaction to it with a memo, and that memo is going to include those instructions of what contract you want to call, what do you want to swap, how do you want to swap it, and then once it's received, ZetaChain essentially passes that message on over to the smart contract that you choose. And so this could be for a swap application, maybe it's an NFT market somebody wants to build. There's a lot of possibilities for this, where you send the transaction, the memo passes along to the smart contract.
Got it. But that Bitcoin, that's still on Bitcoin chain, right? So does that mean someone would want that Bitcoin that's on the Bitcoin chain? Because if we think about it, that's usually how it works through protocol like SynSwap. It will be, you take Bitcoin, then you wrap it into wrap Bitcoin, and then you take that wrap Bitcoin, which essentially has Bitcoin wrap, right? And then you take that wrap Bitcoin, which has liquidity on Ethereum. Then you take that, and then which liquidity provider, AMM, takes it and changes it to USDC. But who's the liquidity provider here on ZetaChain?
Yeah, so we streamline a lot of that, so there's no wrapped assets involved. And so essentially, when you send this over, our protocol kind of custodies that Bitcoin for you in order to make another swap. And so it depends on how it's built. Someone can build, for example, like a curved tri-pool, and then that would handle the liquidity where you're actually adding native Bitcoin and maybe another piece in the pool is native Ethereum on the other side. It depends what you're swapping to and how, but that's kind of at a high level one of the options there.
Understood. And it seems like this really could, solve one of the main issue here on blockchain, because right now we have like L1, L2, and L3. It seems like liquidity has been divided everywhere, which could create, a lot of problems. Slippage is a big problem because when liquidity is low, someone sell USDC, then USDC could depack on that chain when it's has huge liquidity on layer 1, for example. So I guess ZetaChain trying to solve that issue where I can just provide liquidity via ZetaChain, where any chain that's supported by ZetaChain would essentially share that liquidity, right?
Yep.
Understood. And then my last question is, a lot of our users, because part of our channel, we do a lot of these tutorial about, how you can experience, testnet, new product, and so on. And is ZetaChain right now deploy on your own testnet, or how does it work? How can we, interact and try experiencing it?
Yep. So we have a public testnet that's live right now. It's been live for a while, and there's a couple ways to test it out. The best one is you go to ZetaChain.com and check it out, but labs.zetachain.com. We have a gamified system where you can get the multi-chain faucet, which gives you assets on multiple chains. You can do a swap application. You get points for referring other users, and sort of just kind of interacting with the chain and getting familiar with the capabilities earns you Zeta points. That's a great way to get familiar with it. And then we have our docs website for developers who want to work through some quick start guides. We have how to deploy your first Omnichain contract. We have some examples of Omnichain Curve and a lot of other examples out there for people to try.
Got it. Awesome. And 如果你们想要了解更多关于 ZetaChain 的话呢，欢迎到他们的 Twitter， 还有他们的网站，还有刚才Charlie 有讲到他们的 Gitbook 有很多这些 docs， 不管是 technical 或是非 technical 计算非技术的用户呢，都可以去尝试使用 ZetaChain。All right, thank you so much for your time, Charlie. All right.